This is Mt. Gox, one of the earliest Bitcoin exchanges in the world. From 2011 to 2014, Mt. Gox dominated every Bitcoin exchange on the planet. At one point, it was responsible for 70% of all Bitcoin transactions on Earth, a true monopoly. But because it was a monopoly, if it went down, it would bring the entire Bitcoin ecosystem down with it. And that's exactly what happened. Almost out of nowhere, the entire site went dark in 2014.
Very dramatic.
One of the biggest, Mt. Gox, unexpectedly shut down today.
Mt. Gox's Twitter account is deleted, its owner resigns from the Bitcoin Foundation, and it's announced that 850,000 Bitcoins have disappeared from the sites, stolen by hackers. At the time, 850,000 Bitcoins were worth around $500 million, $450 million to be exact. Today, that would be worth more than $28 billion. Not surprisingly, Mt. Gox goes bankrupt soon after, and Bitcoin's price, it drops to its lowest in years. At the time, this cataclysmic event was considered the end of crypto. There was no way the market was going to recover from this, and immediately, people started suspecting foul play. Whoever pulled off this robbery was now halfway to becoming a billionaire just like that, and everyone pointed the finger at the site's owner, Mark Karpelès. But fast forward 8 years later, and Mark Karpelès is still innocent. So who was behind the first major crypto hack in history? Well, it turns out, there's a lot more to the story than meets the eye. My name is Jake Tran. I make documentaries on money, power, war, and crime with my team. Subscribe for more. If you want to win $1,000 cash, starting right now, we're picking a random Instagram follower every single week to win. You just have to be following me at Jake Tran, just got this new handle, and you're automatically entered. Watch out for fake accounts. I will never message you asking for money. And this is the mystery of the Mt. Gox billionaire.
This is Jed McCaleb, the creator of Mt. Gox. Way back in 2006 when the Mt. Gox domain name was first registered, Jed had no idea what the site would become. His initial plan? Create an online card trading platform for the Magic the Gathering game.
Alright, I'm going to play a 5th mana card, and then I'm going to attack with my Elder Beast.
Can he block his Elder Beast? Not with his Shapeshifter, it's already tapped.
4 damage to your Planeswalker.
Oh!
No!
The original card game had just launched an online version, and Jed thought it would be cool to create a site where people could easily buy and sell their online cards. Pretty simple, right? The site's name? Magic the Gathering Online Exchange, or Mt. Gox. Well, fast forward a few months, and Jed gets bored of his newest project and puts it on the shelf. He would use the site a few more times in the future for personal projects, but Mt. Gox wouldn't come back to life again until 2010. That's when Jed comes across an article about Bitcoin. Still in its baby stages, Jed realizes there's no standard way to trade, buy, or sell Bitcoins. Well, why not use the same setup he had going for Magic the Gathering, but just use it to trade Bitcoins instead of playing cards? Jed had a feeling that Bitcoin was going to be a big deal, and this was his chance to get in on the ground floor. So, on July 18th, Mt. Gox comes back from the dead, this time as a Bitcoin exchange. Things go well for a while, but then Jed gets bored again. According to him, it wasn't technically interesting, and he just didn't have the time to keep the site running smoothly. So, in early 2011, Jed sells Mt. Gox to our guy, Mark Karpelès, a French programmer and fellow Bitcoin believer.
It immediately took off, much faster than I thought it would. And then I realized that in the US, there's all these regulations you have to comply with. There's a lot of legal risk around money transmissions.
Jed essentially sold it to the first person he found.
Mark Karpelès would be the man to take Mt. Gox into the biggest exchange in the world.
Mt. Gox was the first place where you could turn your fiat currency into Bitcoin. It was the exchange. There wasn't really an alternative. Mt. Gox was the bank of Bitcoin, essentially.
They had 98% of the world's market share. If you think of Bitcoin as being an island, at that time, Mt. Gox was the only bridge to the rest of the economic world.
And this is where things get interesting.
If you're watching this channel, you're probably trying to be very successful one day. And a lot of people think the key to achieving success is always grinding, but that is not the case. The most successful people know that 90% of this game is mental. And a big part of that mental game is working through all the mental issues, childhood trauma, relationship issues that we are all plagued with. And the best way to do that is with a therapist. And looking back, I really wish someone would have pushed me to go to therapy sooner. I used to be super awkward because of all my insecurities and childhood trauma, and I could have gotten over that way sooner and easier if I had some help. I would have been happier sooner, I wouldn't have wasted so many years, and I would have been more successful sooner. But the problem is finding a therapist in your area is really hard. But you're in luck because that's where today's sponsor BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp is the largest therapy platform in the world with over 2 million users that is democratizing therapy. With BetterHelp, you'll have access to over 20,000 licensed and vetted therapists all online. And this is not a crisis line or self-help. It's professional therapy that is done securely online. And it's super easy to sign up. Just give BetterHelp some information about yourself and what kind of therapy you're looking for. Then based on your needs, BetterHelp matches you with a therapist that is the best fit for you. And then boom, that is it. You start communicating with your therapist in as little as 48 hours, and once you're matched, you can message them whenever you want. And then you can set up weekly video or phone calls with your therapist to avoid the awkwardness of in-person meetings. And if you're not feeling your therapist, it's simple and free to switch to a new one. Plus, BetterHelp is more affordable than traditional therapy, and financial aid is available. So if you're ready to start taking control of your mental health, head over to betterhelp.com/JakeTran for 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/JakeTran for 10% off your first month. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video.
What was Mt. Gox's biggest problem in 2011? It was too successful. No one, not Jed or Mark, could have expected the site to blow up so quickly. Thousands of people were logging on to Mt. Gox every day to trade Bitcoin, and Mark Capellas was in way over his head. Transactions were overwhelming the system. Security updates couldn't keep up with the amount of people signing up. And just 4 months after Mark buys the company from Jed, it gets hacked for the first time. The hackers gained access to a Mt. Gox employee's computer and used it to steal 25,000 Bitcoins. At the time, that was equal to around $400,000. With so many huge transactions happening, the Bitcoin price dropped to 1 cent. A few hours later, a hacker called C. Razzle Stinger puts the entire Mt. Gox database up for sale, and people use that info to steal even more Bitcoins throughout the day. It took Mark and his team a full day to block the hackers out and get things back to normal. But even after the first hack and all the security issues it exposed, people just couldn't stop using Mt. Gox. It was too convenient, and with the price of Bitcoin stabilizing again, everything just went back to business as usual. But this hack was just the beginning. Mark should have taken that first hack as a warning of things to come, but according to other Mt. Gox employees, he wasn't exactly a hard worker. Instead, he didn't really seem to care about any of the security breaches or hacks Mt. Gox was facing. Mark told the world that everything was gonna be fine, but behind closed doors, nothing in the company really changed. There was no urgency. All the while, Mt. Gox's popularity just kept growing. By April 2013, Mt. Gox had a monopoly on the world's Bitcoin transactions, handling 70% of all Bitcoin trades. This meant that the price of Bitcoin and Mt. Gox's popularity went hand in hand. For a system that was supposed to be decentralized, Bitcoin was looking extremely centralized. On April 11th, Bitcoin prices were rising so quickly that Mark announced a trade suspension for 48 hours so the market could quote-unquote cool down and the prices could stabilize. One single man practically froze Bitcoin at his whim. But for now, everything seemed to be working relatively smoothly. It seemed like there was nowhere to go but up. By May 2013, Mt. Gox was trading over 150,000 Bitcoins per day, with one Bitcoin costing just over $100. But then, things turned bad, fast.
Mt. Gox unexpectedly shut down today.
One of the world's biggest Bitcoin exchanges has filed for bankruptcy.
Mt. Gox.
Mt. Gox hundreds of millions of pounds and prompting the sharp fall in the value of the currency.
I felt like I had been punched in the stomach, and I couldn't believe that. How could you lose 800,000 Bitcoin?
Starting in late 2013, weird things started happening to the Mt. Gox website. It would go dark at random times, often for hours at a time. Whenever this happened, the price of Bitcoin would drop. Once the site came back online, the price would go back up. By November 2013, most US-based Mt. Gox users were waiting weeks or months for their cash withdrawals to process. Something wasn't right, but people were still holding out hope that the Mt. Gox team would get things back to normal.
Bitcoin was going up from, it was hanging around 100, 140 for a while, then it stayed around 200 for a bit, and then it just started shooting up. It was just rising like crazy, so went 120, 240, and it just kept going up and up and up, and suddenly it was at $1,000.
I'd be in front of my computer just like kind of cheering on the price. It was great. I go to the gym to work out and I couldn't stop looking at my phone, right, tracking what was happening. It was a wild ride. And so at the end of that month, November, I think the price was around $1,200 or something. I didn't really want to sell my Bitcoins yet, but I wanted to get them back off Mt. Gox after trading. I asked for the coins back, and it was a slow response.
It was actually my birthday, I remember it very clearly. I was in Paris in a hotel. I don't know why, but I was thinking I really should withdraw my Bitcoins from Mt. Gox. I went to my computer and started a withdrawal, and I checked an hour later and they hadn't come out.
They told me I needed to verify my account, which they never asked for before when just dealing in Bitcoin. To receive a bank wire, they'd want it. And that's when things started to go downhill.
But by February 2014, the website's issues just got worse. February 7th, all Mt. Gox operations are stopped. The reason? A bug in the Bitcoin code. Most of Mt. Gox's competitors also paused their transactions while the bug was corrected. But unlike them, Mt. Gox didn't come back online the next day. As the days went on and people couldn't access their money or use the site, things started to spiral. Mt. Gox users were panicking.
I don't expect their company's going to last much longer. I think it's about to collapse, and I expect that no one's going to get their money back, but we'll see.
Mark Capellas didn't have anything to tell them other than there would be new daily and monthly limits on withdrawals once the site was working again.
We are working on it, but anyway, in the meantime, we are sorry for the troubles caused by this.
And then it happened. February 23rd, 2014. Disaster hits Mt. Gox. Mark Capellas resigns from the Bitcoin Foundation, and all Mt. Gox's tweets are deleted. February 24th. The Mt. Gox site goes offline. Customers are redirected to a blank page with no information about what's going on. Just before it went dark, the Bitcoin price on Mt. Gox dropped from just over $1,000 to around $100. Is this the end of Bitcoin? That's what everyone around the world was afraid of. Millions of dollars of Bitcoin was being stored in Mt. Gox's wallets. How would any of it get back to its rightful owners now? Days go by with no word from Mark or his team. A few days later, a document is leaked claiming 744,000 Bitcoins had been stolen from Mt. Gox users, plus another 100,000 of the company's own Bitcoins. 850,000 Bitcoins, nearly $500 million, poof, disappears into thin air. 4 days after going dark, Mt. Gox files for bankruptcy. Mt. Gox makes a big show out of quote-unquote looking for the stolen Bitcoins, and even manages to find 200,000 of them in an old wallet in March. But it's not enough. In April, the company is liquidated. From the biggest Bitcoin exchange in the world to an embarrassment and failure in the space of just a few months, people were angry. Someone had to be responsible, and right then, all the signs were pointing to our guy, Mark Capellas himself. Almost immediately after the hack was announced, people started suspecting Mark. He had never really seemed to care about other hacks, and his work ethic wasn't exactly great. Had he bought Mt. Gox from Jed McCaleb as part of some plan to scam people out of millions of dollars? At first, Mark isn't charged with anything. People suspect him, but there's no proof that he was involved. But then, in 2015, Mark was arrested in Japan, where Mt. Gox was registered. His arrest gave people hope that their money would soon be found. Obviously, the smart guy was guilty. If they just pushed him a little, the cops would probably find all the lost money. Well, Japan kept Mark in solitary confinement for almost a year. They interrogated him for months and followed every lead that they had. But in the end, even Japan's police and court, who are notorious for always finding people guilty, had to admit that Mark wasn't their guy. In the end, he was charged with altering company records to make it seem like Mt. Gox had more money than it actually did. Illegal? Yes. But did he steal the bitcoins? No. His negligence and mismanagement had ruined one of the biggest crypto companies in existence, but he wasn't the one who had stolen the money. The cops would have to keep looking. In 2016, 2 years after the hack, the Mt. Gox database is handed over to US authorities, and they start trying to track the stolen bitcoins down. The trail leads them to a Russian man named Alexander Vinnik. Alexander was involved with a Bitcoin exchange called BTC-E, and according to the cops, around 90% of the stolen Bitcoins could be traced to wallets he controlled. He may not have stolen the Bitcoins himself, but he did use BTC-E to launder it. Alexander Vinnik is arrested while on vacation in Greece and indicted on 21 charges connected to Mt. Gox. That's not even counting his other charges like drug trafficking and helping the Russian government's team of hackers, Fancy Bear, hack the Democratic National Committee. As soon as he's arrested, France and Russia start a tug of war over where he gets extradited to. France wins, and Alexander is sentenced to 5 years in jail for money laundering. The investigators had found the guy who laundered the bitcoins, but they hadn't found the coins or the person who did the stealing. But it gets deeper. The investigation against Alexander had led the US to a surprising discovery. Remember the first hack that stole 25,000 bitcoins from Mt. Gox in 2011? Well, that hack and the leaked database had given someone the opportunity to slowly steal 850,000 bitcoins from Mt. Gox's hot wallets over the space of 3 years.
It seemed to have been that between autumn of 2011 and towards to the middle or even the end of 2013, there were bitcoins stolen in chunks over time, almost continuously. Throughout that entire period, we have no idea exactly how they were gotten into the systems, maybe some combination of social engineering or just plain hacking or compromised code or something. But first and foremost, to do this particular theft, you need patience because they've been doing it over years and quite slowly and deliberately and been quite careful in how to move the bitcoins out afterwards.
Hot wallets are the wallets connected to the internet that Mt. Gox used to run the exchange. What this all means is that it was actually the first hack that started everything. For 3 years, someone had been stealing bitcoins from Mt. Gox without Mark or anyone on the team noticing. How do you not notice you're 850,000 bitcoins short? Well, Mark was constantly inflating transaction numbers to push the Bitcoin price up, so something like that is easy to slip by. But that's where the trail ends. Today, there's still no one that knows who stole the 850,000 Bitcoins or where the money is now. If the cops have suspects, they aren't making them public because it's an ongoing investigation. Whoever he is, if he managed to keep all of the Bitcoin, he would now be around the 50th richest known person in the world, an 11-figure billionaire.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you are new here, my name is Jake and we make documentaries just like this one every single week on money, power, and crime multiple times a week for free. So if you like this one, click that subscribe button below because you can always dislike and unsubscribe whenever you want. So you might as well do it. And if you want longer documentaries that are so controversial that I can't post them publicly, click that join button below. We just put out a documentary on the Bin Laden papers. Basically all the documents that were seized when the Navy SEALs killed Bin Laden. Super interesting video that will definitely get demonetized because it's on Bin Laden and 9/11. All the things YouTube doesn't like, and you can watch it right now by clicking the join button below. And there's a refund policy, so if you join and you don't think it's worth it, you can email me and I will personally refund you the money. That's gonna wrap it up. Stay dangerous out there, and I will see you guys in the next one.